Tarzan, directed by Kevin Lima and Chris Butt, and this is based on the novel from the 1912 storybook by Edgar Rice Burroughs, Tarzan of the Apes. Tarzan is an orphan raised by mountain gorillas in the jungles of Africa. It's not till he rescues a female explorer named Jane. Of course, Tarzan realizes that he's a human also, just like Jane. And of course, Tarzan has put into this conflict in the jungle life or in the human civilizations. When it comes to Tarzan, I have a soft spot for this movie. This is one of those Disney films that I grew up with. When you think of the Disney Renaissance era, you think of The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, those three. They're the crown jewels of the Disney Renaissance era, which I will talk about The Lion King very soon on my channel, so I will talk about that, so don't you worry. When it comes to Tarzan, I have a soft spot for this movie. This movie was my childhood. This is my childhood movie. I grew up with this film. And watching this again, it brings so much nostalgic memories. It had so much stuff going for it, and there's so much detail that I realize watching it now as a grown-up. It makes me appreciate this film a lot more. Of course, when you watch this film, many people put this in the middle tier of the ranking of the Disney Renaissance era. I don't know. Some people put it in the middle, some people put it as the top, but it depends on your viewing on it. But I would say Tarzan is somewhere in the middle ranking, along with Hercules and Mulan. But I would say Tarzan is somewhere in the middle ranking. But that being said, let's just get right into it. I think we'll have to talk about this movie, because it's been 25 years since this film came out, and I thought, let's just talk about this film. The biggest praise I had to give this film is the animation. The animation here is so well done. It has that mixture of 2D hand-drawn animation along with the traditional CGI with 3D imagery, which I really liked. I thought that was really well, beautiful blend into that 2D animation. I thought that looks really good, and it's very well done. I've got to applaud the animators for doing that. It has that mixture of that 3D image, the background, especially with the trees, the waterfalls. Everything they add into that is just very detailed, especially the sunlight with the tree branches and the leaves, everything. I don't know how they done it. Well done. I gotta applaud that to them. Voice acting all around was really good here, and I really love the voice acting. I think everyone gives 100% overall in their performances. I would say Tarzan, as voiced by Tony Goldwyn, really good here. I think he's one of the most likable protagonists. I think he's probably one of the most relatable character. You want to root for him, you want to try to help him get through where he wants to be and where he's come from. It's kind of like a coming of age story, which we've all seen before in certain movies, either of live action or animated, but in a way it serves a purpose for the story. I think it's done so well. Coming of age story with a mixture of that, and everything about this film with this Tarzan character, bring it down to the more grounded level of humanization of the character. And of course we do have Minnie Driver voice Jane, who is Tarzan's love interest, which we all know from the Tarzan stories and many variations of Tarzan's movies or TV shows. It's basically the love interest, damsel in distress, but she does help out in the finale, which I will give some credit to. She's always great to watch. Very fun character, but also when she meets Tarzan, she was scared of him, and of course the way he interacts with her, which I will admit, that was a really fun scene. I thought that was a really funny moment. And of course when Tarzan put their hand to hand with Jane's hand, which I will admit, that was a really nice moment, and see them interact, and Tarzan said his name, and Tarzan calls her, "Oh, I see." I'm not gonna lie, that scene cracks me up every time, but it's fun to watch, because Tarzan's not the smartest here, but when he starts to get close to Jane, now being with the gorillas, which we'll get to the gorillas in a moment, but as far as those two characters, you knew they're going to be together from the very get-go they first meet. It's just fun to watch. I've got to say this now, when Jane tells a story about how she gets chased by these baboons and Tarzan rescues her dad, the professor, and her protector, Clayton, which I will admit, that was all improvised, because I think Minnie Driver says, let's just add it in to make it more expensive, the dialogue, which I thought that was really good. I thought that was excellent, the way she done that, where she begin those lines. I love that. That was so good. Of course, Tarzan's family, the gorillas, I will say Kala, voiced by Glenn Close, always a pleasure to hear her voice. She's one of those loving mothers that she does care for Tarzan, even though she admits that she's been keeping this a long, long time and discovers that he has a family, that Tarzan's parents got killed, and of course Kala took him in. Both her and Kerjak lost their son in the beginning of the movie because we all know what happened. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. And of course Kala raised them, and she's a loving, caring mother compared to Kerjak. Kerjak doesn't want Tarzan. He doesn't want nothing to do with him because he knew he's not going to be one of the gorillas, doesn't want to be part of the family. But I have got to admit, there's one scene when Tarzan defeated Sabor, which we'll admit, when he gives Sabor present to Kerjak, and there's one moment that Kerjak kind of shows a little bit of, maybe he's being caring to him, maybe he goes like, oh, I was being too harsh on you. I was kind of having a moment of, maybe I'm starting to appreciate him a little bit more. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the guy since he's arrived and being part of the family. I will admit, Kerjak, he may be unlikable, but I get his reasons because he doesn't want to nothing to do with Tarzan. We do get to the end when Kerjak, well, spoiler alert, this is mini spoiler to this film, Kerjak accepts him as his son and asks him to protect his family. I thought that was a really nice moment, and it's just a nice touching moment, but a really well done one. Of course, there's some fun side characters into the movie. Is Turk and Tantor. Turk is voiced by Rosie O'Donnell and Tantor is voiced by Wayne Knight. Both of them are fun to watch. They both interact with one another, especially with Tarzan, and it's just a really fun moment. It just really, really captures that fun aspects. This movie is not trying to be serious. It has some dark moments when the film does be dark and serious, which I will admit, it does have some dark moments, but it does bring some levity to it. It doesn't try to take itself too seriously. It's trying to have fun with itself, but also try to have that fun, action-packed scenes. But anyway, back to Turk and Tantor. I think both of them are fun to watch. Their interactions, their bouncing off one another, the comedic timing, it's just hilarious. Especially when Tarzan is asking Turk and Tantor to distract Kerjak while he gets Jane's dad, and of course Clayton gets to see the gorillas while Kerjak's busy with those two. Which I will admit, the moment where Turk is dressed up in Jane's clothes and her dress, and I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny. That was hilarious.
I'm gonna kill him!
Actually, I thought that dress was rather slimming on you.
Oh, really? I thought it was a little revealing and kind of...
I'm not gonna lie, that was hilarious. And of course, we do have some great moments in here. The action scenes are a lot of fun. Tarzan does some fighting with the Sabor, and there's a certain scene where Tarzan rescues Jane from these baboons. And the final fight scenes, the action scenes are fun. They're really entertaining. It's really entertaining. It's watchable, especially with everything goes into it excellently. Which I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. And of course, we do have Tarzan swinging in the jungle. Of course, you do get a bit of inspiration from Tony Hawk's. Fun fact: Tony Hawk's came in to do Tarzan swinging, and of course on the tree branches when he's surfing on them or sliding on them, which it took inspiration from Tony Hawk's, which gotta say, that is actually really cool on how they do that. I think it's very moving. Tarzan flips, sliding and jumping through branch to branch, which I thought that was, I don't know how they do that with animation style. Gotta applaud them again, the animators. What are you doing? That was good. I really liked that. And of course, the movie does have some really touching moments. I will admit, there were a couple of moments I did tear up, especially where Tarzan decides to go with Jane into human civilization and saying goodbye to Kala, who has been his adopted mother. And this line still gets me to this day.
No matter where I go, you will always be my mother.
And you will always be in my heart.
Oh, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm ugly. I'm crying. Of course, the soundtrack. The music score is really good, but the music and the songs by Phil Collins. Phil Collins has some great music. I'm not the biggest Phil Collins fan. I do like In the Air Tonight. Phil Collins does come in and did a collaboration with Disney to create the songs for the movie, like Two Worlds, Son of Man, which is a really fun musical sequence, Strangers Like Me, and of course he did the song Trash in the Camp, even though Turk sang that, but he did his version of Trash in the Camp. And of course, the most famous song, You'll Be in My Heart, which is a really lovely, touching song, but a really beautiful song piece, which I always loved. I would say the music for the film fits perfectly for the film. Of course, Phil Collins does come back to do Brother Bear 4 years later. As far as the villain, Clayton, voiced by Brian Blessed, he's good. The villain's actually pretty enjoyable. I will admit, Clayton is a pretty good villain. I wouldn't call him the best villain though. I wouldn't call him the most terrifying villain, but he has his moments. But I don't know, he's a really simple villain. He just wants to take the gorillas away and ship them into civilization. We all knew he's going to be the villain from the very start, which we all knew. And I haven't read the book, but what I've been told that Tarzan is related to Clayton. I think they're long lost cousins, which that could have been done in that movie, which would give more emotional depth into it. That would have been more complex. That would have worked so much easier. That would have been a really good idea. I don't know why they don't do that, but maybe they just want to step away from the books, which I know books and movies are a different piece of medium, but that'd be cool. Bring that into the story. I think that would have fleshed out Clayton's character a little bit more, because, like I said, he's a good villain. The actor does a great voice job, which, fun fact here, when Tony Goldwyn voiced Tarzan, he can do the famous Tarzan war cry, the famous Tarzan yell when he does. But Brian Blessed got the best Tarzan yell. As far as Tarzan as a movie, I think it's really well made, really beautiful animated film. I think it's a lot of fun. It has a lot of heart to it. It's got a lot of good comedy, funny side. The music's really good. The action scenes is there. When the film does get dark, it gets dark, and it doesn't take itself seriously, and it doesn't lose its steam. I think Tarzan still holds up very well. Minus Clayton could have done a bit more fleshed out, but that being said though, I think Tarzan is a really fun movie, and it still holds up as one of my favourites in the Disney Renaissance era, maybe in the middle tier. I might do a ranking of the Disney Renaissance era, because that's my favourite era of animation. I'm a 90s kid, because I was born in 1994, so I always grew up when the Disney Renaissance is coming out. So I would say Tarzan, to me, still holds up as probably a really fun Disney movie. A film I can watch now and again, and I would definitely happy to watch this again. Either if it's on Disney Plus or on Blu-ray, I would watch it again and again. I'm going to give Tarzan an A. Overall, guys, comment down below and tell me, what do you think of Tarzan? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you think it's alright, or do you hate it? Whatever the case is, comment down below and tell me what you think. And stay tuned, guys. I will be doing a review of The Lion King, the 1994 classic animated film. Stay tuned for that. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And of course, hit that icon bell for more future videos like this. Until next time, see ya!